Hello people, Father Brad here, and you are watching Coffee Talk, where we talk to each other, we drink coffee, and Jesus is there too. Well, actually, I'm just talking because you can't talk, but you can comment in the comment box below, and hopefully I can get back to you. I have a confession to make. I'm for married priests. I don't know. I'm for married priests. I have another confession to make. I got a confession to make. I'm married. And I don't care who knows it. But before you call the bishop, put your phone down, because let me explain. What do I mean? I'm married to the church. Okay, you've officially been clickbaited. I get it. You're angry. Calm down. Let's talk about it. Are priests married? What's the theology of marriage? And is it a good thing? Number one, priestly celibacy. Priests are married not to an individual woman. They're married to the bride, the church. You know, I had a friend once, he had a very clear and succinct way of expressing the truth. We like to talk about theology, we like to talk about history and councils and all this stuff, but this friend of mine said simply when asked, well, why do your priests not get married to an individual woman? And he said, because Jesus wasn't. I was like, yeah, we grew up knowing that, but did we ever think about the reality that Jesus wasn't? And that ultimately is the basic reason why the church, the Roman church at least, calls all of her priests to celibacy, or rather calls to priesthood all those who are called to be celibate. Why was Jesus not married to an individual woman, but rather to the church? Because God's favorite analogy is not shepherd to sheep, it's not master to servant, it's not even teacher to pupil, it's bridegroom to bride. God is the bridegroom. From the very beginning in the Old Testament, you see, and through the prophets, through the wisdom literature, all the way up into the New Testament, God the Father is telling Israel, you are my bride. And when they weren't faithful, you know what they were called? Harlots. Because they were the bride and they were running off with other gods, other Baals. And God was the true bridegroom. He came to marry Israel. And so he got down, let's say on his knee, in the incarnation. He took on flesh and he married the church. He gave his whole life on the cross. His arms were out on his side. That's just from working out. Don't worry, I don't have the stigmata. His arms went out to his side. And he said, consummatum est. It is finished. The bridegroom poured forth from his side blood and water. Just like Adam did for his wife Eve, and the church was taken from his side. Christ married the church. And if the priest is supposed to stand in persona Christi capitis and Christ the person the head, then it makes sense. Priestly celibacy then isn't a burden that's placed upon us. It's because Christ did this. Christ chose to marry the church. Christ chose to forego an earthly marriage for a spiritual one, for a divine one. Marriage isn't rejected by celibates, by the priesthood and by the church because it's bad. Marriage is foregone because it is beautiful and that we're choosing something different. St. John Chrysostom says this, whoever denigrates marriage also diminishes the glory of virginity. Whoever praises it makes virginity more admirable and resplendent. What appears good only in comparison with evil would not be particularly good. It is something better than what is admitted to be good. That is the most excellent good. So there's not a war between earthly marriage, biological marriage, marriage here in our time, and heavenly marriage or celibacy for the kingdom. There's not a war between them. They actually speak great truths to each other and they support each other. I'm part of a domestic church circle. It's a movement of lay Catholic families that get together to pray together, and they have beautiful families, beautiful children, and I live my vocation out with them. And we help each other, and we're examples to each other. They're mutually supporting. I want to address a common argument against the practice of celibacy in the priesthood, I guess the majority of the priesthood in the Roman Catholic Church, and that's Eastern Orthodox. or Eastern Catholic churches. Some of their priests, in fact, most of their regular priests will be married. And people point to that and say, why can that not be the case in the Roman Catholic Church? It can be the case, actually. There's priests who are in the Roman Catholic Church who are married to a woman here on earth. We have some in our diocese. It's not against the church's teaching to have a married priesthood. It's just a practice of the church. So this isn't doctrine. This is just practice. But here's the thing that connects Roman Catholicism to all the Eastern churches as well. It has always been the greater majority of Christian history to choose our bishops from celibate men. Because it is in the bishop that the fullness of priesthood resides. The bishop stands in persona Christi Capitis ultimately. Finally, I want to end with giving you a little symbolism here. The church is filled with symbolism. It's pretty cool because we're bodily people. We have bodies, we have senses, and so our senses tell us spiritual realities. That's why a man might get on his knee to propose. That's why a woman might wear a white dress. That's why they give each other wedding rings, right? To show that full commitment. It's the same ring. They're binding each other to each other like links on a chain. You know what my wedding ring is? I see my wedding ring right there, my collar. It's a physical sign, an external proclaiming of an internal reality. An external sign telling people around us what we're about, really. And when I wear this collar, whether it's to the church, whether it's in the confessional, whether it's at a bar, whether it's at a sports event, whether I'm at a football game, this tells people what I'm about. And it reminds me of what I'm about. Because the priesthood and marriage go together. Hopefully, pray for me that I can live out my priesthood, and all priests that you encounter, your pastors, your associate pastors, can live out their priesthood, not just as a leader, not just as a preacher, but truly as a representative of Christ, the bridegroom of the church.